Hello to all of you wonderful moms out there. This is episode 97 of Achieve Your Ambitious Mom Life podcast, and I'm your host, Anuki Kapasi. Today's interview is a bonus episode because I've invited Tori Mistick, aka the dog lady, to come and talk to us. Now, you might be wondering what dog enrichment has to do with ambitious moms, and that's exactly what makes this conversation so exciting. Now, there isn't a mom out there that wouldn't want to show up as the most energized, present mom that you know you can be. But as high-achieving women, this can be a tricky thing to do, especially to do this without sacrificing your ambitions or adding one more thing to your plate. Maybe you're an entrepreneur or you're struggling to toe the line between your demanding profession and busy family life. So between work and kids and everything else, even your dog's needs feel like one more obligation instead of something that's going to recharge you. Now, you shouldn't have to sacrifice who you are to show up for everyone else. For the past 15 years, Tori has been showing women how to build businesses and lives that feel good with plenty of lessons learned from dogs along the way. Today, we're going to explore how simple dog rituals can become stress relief systems instead of just another chore on your to-do list. We cover a lot of ground during our conversation, including the importance of hobbies, taking balanced lifestyle cues from our pets, bonding and stress relief routines that are easy for solopreneurs and work-from-home moms, how 5 minutes of enrichment with your dogs can boost your productivity later in the day, and also all the lessons that we ambitious moms can use to recharge during demanding seasons. If you keep listening, you're going to understand why Tori is often referred to as the Martha Stewart of dogs. Tori's simple shifts and lessons are exactly what you need so you can achieve your ambitious mom life. Are you looking for a way to blend success and motherhood without losing sight of who you are? I get it. I've been there too. Hi, I'm Anuki, a PhD researcher, business owner, and homeschooling mom of 2 boys. As your life coach, I help moms like you create a life you love at home and at work. If you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed, overscheduled, and overlooked, and want a clear roadmap to a balanced life, a meaningful career, and finally feeling like yourself again while being the awesome mama that you are, you're in the right place. In this journey to create the life you truly desire, it's time to rediscover your dreams and achieve your ambitious mom life. Hey friend, I know some of my favorite podcasts were discovered because someone like you shared them with me. If you're enjoying the show and finding value in these episodes, would you do me a quick favor? Take a moment to share your favorite episode with a friend who might need to hear this message too. It's super easy. Just tap that share button in your podcast app and send it to someone you think would benefit from it. Your share could be exactly what another mom needs to hear today. Thanks. So I'm so excited about today's show because I've invited probably the coolest guest I've had on yet, who is helping dogs and by extension, their dog moms live more enriched, joyful lives. Tori Mistick is a certified canine enrichment specialist and host of Dog Enrichment with Tori Mistick, where she shares fun, science-backed ideas to spark curiosity, engagement, and a deeper bond with your dog. Tori is a Labrador mom. Throughout her career, she's spent over 20 years working hands-on with dogs, but it's her passion for enrichment that has shaped her approach to canine care. She's also the host of Wear, Wag, Repeat, which has over 350 episodes. Along the way, she's discovered how powerful simple dog rituals can be, not just for dogs, but for the humans who love them. Each week on Dog Enrichment with Tori Mistick, she discusses how daily dog routines can reduce stress instead of adding one more task, why enrichment is really about bonding, not babysitting, and how dogs model being present, play, and rest. She does so with the hope that all dog owners can create meaningful rituals that help them feel more connected with their pets and find stress relief in their daily routines. So welcome, Tori. I loved what you said about building a business while prioritizing mom life with your dogs. And so I think that part's really going to resonate with what I teach too. And so resonate with my audience because we're all about trying to find that right balance. And so I think that, we should just really have fun with this conversation because I think there's going to be a lot of parallels we can make with your work that you do with dogs and how we can learn from them and the way we connect with them to how we can improve our lives as moms.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for welcoming me onto your show. I don't have any human children, but I do have many little people in my life, nieces and nephews and cousins and friends' kids. But then I have been a dog mom for over 20 years. So I know it's not exactly the same as having kids, but I think there are, like you said, a lot of parallels and a lot of things that we can all learn, because I know that from listening to your show and other moms that the pressure to kind of do everything and be everything for everyone is really crushing. And it's the same thing in the dog community. I mean, there's so much on social media that makes dog moms feel like you have to do everything and be perfect all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I think that it's just important for us all to talk about how to be present, how to balance, how to feel good about it, and not get crushed by that pressure.
Yeah, I have to confess that I don't have any dogs. I am not a pet owner. I mean, I had a pet at one point, but we're going through our own journey of trying to figure out whether we can care for a dog and how to make it work for my kids who are still working through some fears and stuff. I just want to learn from your set of expertise. I'm all about cross-disciplinary learning and interdisciplinary learning. I think that there's a lot of things that somebody might be an expert in their field. And when you talk to somebody who is knowledgeable in another field, both their sets of expertise kind of get enhanced, because when you fuse them together, you're just able to do so much more synergistically. And so I kind of see our conversation will kind of go in that direction. I'm so super curious about everything that you do. So, and I think probably not all of my listeners are dog owners or even pet owners for that matter. And so I think that we're just going to start this with an open mind, and I'm excited to learn. I just want to see if that's like something that really works in my life without a dog,
Wonderful. Yeah. And a lot of the stuff that we'll talk about as we get into it, it's stuff that you can implement in your own life. Oh. So hopefully, no matter, if people do have pets or not, or kids or not, this is going to be an interesting conversation for everyone.
That's so cool. And you've also accomplished a lot in your life too. Actually, probably that's where I'm going to start, because I'm super curious about this. I know that you've spent like 20 years or so working with dogs, and you've been building a thriving business, maybe businesses. You have your podcasts and all that stuff. And so as someone who's built a successful career while prioritizing all these things that matter in your life, what is the biggest lesson about balancing these goals that you have? Some of them are pretty ambitious, and just being happy, being present in your daily life.
Yes, that's a great question. And I think it is hard, especially over many, many years. So like I've had dogs for 20 years or so, and I've been in business for myself for like 15 years, I guess. I've been growing my blog, which is called Wear, Wag, Repeat. I've been growing that for like 13 years. So I started that when my late dog, Lucy, was a puppy. And I just wanted a creative outlet to document my hobbies, my interests. I love fashion and DIYs and recipes, and I love dogs. And so I started blogging about all of that, and kind of quickly got involved in the online dog community and found this amazing group of people. And that's kind of how I ended up becoming the dog lady online, because it was just a great community. And I have grown it into my full-time business and done a lot of different things over the years, just experimenting with e-commerce and podcasting and consulting and coaching and memberships. And oh my gosh, we could go on and on. So it is hard to stay balanced when you are a solopreneur, when you're ambitious, when you have big goals and big dreams, because it can feel like your to-do list, there's never an end to it. You can just keep going and going. And especially when you work from home, as I have for 15 years, it's easy for everything to kind of spill into other areas of your life. So what I have found is that it's really, really been just essential to me to have hobbies outside of my work and outside of my family even. So hobbies that are really like just me time. And for me, since my job is very screen related and I'm always on my phone or my computer, I've tried to find hobbies that are not screen related. So dogs is a wonderful way, taking the dogs out, going for hikes, training with them. It really brings me so much joy. But some other hobbies that I love too, one of them is quilting. So I've been sewing for a long time, and I started quilting a couple years ago. And that one for me is especially valuable because it actually has nothing to do with dogs either. So for me, it's really a departure from all of my work. And I know that it can be hard to find time for those hobbies, but they really kind of do refuel you. And there's a lot of studies out there about how doing tasks like sewing or knitting or handcrafts, how great that is for your cognitive development and also just staying calm and balanced in your life. So it can lower your cortisol levels, and even just petting your dog can lower your cortisol levels. So I think taking time away from work for these hobbies, even when you feel like you don't have time, it actually is going to make you more productive at work.
Those are all great ideas. When you were saying some of the things that you were doing have to do with your dogs and some of them don't, but they're all your hobbies. I feel like, the same way about things that I do with my kids, because I very much feel like my passion projects and my hobbies are what fuel me. It's the same thing. Like sometimes in order for me to be able to do those things, I will bring my kids with me to do them, and they will have differing levels of interest. But then there are some things that I do that are just for myself. And those are all the things beyond like the business and my other technical work that I do and things like that. So yeah, I really appreciated your perspective on that. But another reason I'm excited to talk to you today is because you have, from what I understand, have spent a lot of time thinking about meaningful rituals, how to connect with our dogs. Those rituals that you have with your dogs can be a source of recharging and refueling. Not all my listeners are going to be dog owners or pet owners for that matter, but many of my listeners do feel like they've lost themselves in that chaos. And whether it's parenting or work or just all the roles that you have to wear, especially once you become a mom. And that's the perspective I'll come from, but that doesn't mean you have to answer from that side of things. So how can simple dog rituals be a form of stress relief? How do you create these systems? And how do you make sure that it's just not one more thing that you have to do on your task list? And how did you come to that realization? How did you make that mental shift? Because there's a lot of things that we do in our lives where it can just be one more thing we do on our list, or we can find a lot of joy and value in doing those things. So
yeah. No, absolutely. These are great questions. And, I think it all kind of is intertwined and layered together. So like looking back, I've not always been the Martha Stewart of dogs. There was a time when my dogs were really just my pets and they were not my entire life as they are now. Looking back to previous dogs that I had earlier in my life, I loved them so much and we did things together and they had a great life and I took great care of them, but they weren't like partners of mine. Whereas my dogs in the last 10 years, I would say, my dogs, as I've gotten more involved in dog behavior and the science behind the human-animal bond, I've witnessed firsthand, and I've also read all the studies that show that, bonding with your dog and having that deep connection, how valuable that can be. For example, my dog, Lucy, when she was younger, we did all kind of great adventures. We went hiking. She loved to swim. Oh my God, she was like such a water dog. We always did basic training and we loved to travel together and do adventures. But when she was like 7 years old, I actually got into trick training with her. And I had never really gotten super involved in that before. And I was teaching her how to jump up on things, spin around in circles, weave through poles, touch buttons to pull.
Wow.
I would like tie a rope on a doorknob and tell her to pull it and she could open a door. Wow. So we were doing like all kinds of things. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe she can figure this out. And she's so smart and this is so cool. Yeah. And it became something that I like found so much fun in. And it wasn't like, okay, I'm doing this for her because the dog needs a walk or the dog needs to go outside and go potty. Instead, it became something that really fueled me and I had fun doing it. It made me just want to do more and teach her more. And then I could just see her eyes light up and she loved doing it. It brought me a lot of joy. And I think there's just so much value. It's not really quantitative. It's more qualitative of just seeing that positive interaction and knowing that you're responsible for this dog having an amazing day. And so that was really kind of an aha moment, a turning point in realizing that we're really a team. And when we work together and do stuff that enriches both our lives, it's just a win for everyone rather than a to-do list of like walk the dog, wash the dog, feed the dog. Instead, it became things that we were doing together.
And a win for one of you was kind of a win that both of you were experiencing.
Exactly.
I love that so much. I have to tell the story because when you were talking about this and the surprise element to, oh, wow, I really like this. And witnessing those aha moments. I have 2 boys and we homeschool. And I started it kicking and screaming because I knew I would have to rearrange my whole life in order for this to happen. And my older son was very insistent that he homeschool because there were things that he wanted to do and he didn't feel like he was going to be able to explore those in school. So we started very early with him. I always felt like we're just going to try this and probably within a month, we're both going to be fed up and we will have him back in public school and I will get my life back, quote unquote. But to my shock, once we started, even though we have similar personalities, we usually butt heads, we actually started bonding because it was an enriching experience. And it's exactly what you said. It became teamwork. His wins were my wins and vice versa. I became a better teacher. He learned all these things. And the thing that really did it for me was being able to witness those aha moments. It's exactly the words that I use. There were things that when he realized, he's like, oh, and it clicks into place. And for me to be there when normally a parent isn't necessarily around when that happens in school, I just thought that was priceless. And it totally, totally changed the nature of our relationship. So while I haven't experienced that with having a dog, I'm just visualizing the same thing.
Right. It's like you can see the wheels turning in their mind and them getting excited about learning or excited about new things. I think another issue these days with people and dogs, and this probably transfers over to kids too, is that a lot of dogs nowadays, people are like, my dog has anxiety or my dog is nervous in new situations. And so actually training your dog to do new things makes them more optimistic about new things. So it's kind of like with kids. When kids get that confidence to read, they want to keep reading and keep doing more and reading at more advanced levels. And so same thing with dogs. There are studies that show that when you start training them and they have those early wins, they get more excited about learning more things and trying new things, and they're less anxious in unfamiliar situations, which that kind of resiliency is so important for people and for dogs.
Yeah, they're amazing creatures, and I think we can learn a lot from them. As our conversation unfolds, I realize how much, I need to pay a little more attention here. So that brings me to the next question. When it comes to mom lives, also especially when you have all these ambitions on your mind, you're so time strapped. A lot of my clients tell me they can't even fathom like having 5 extra minutes to themselves. So you actually say that it just takes 5 minutes for you to be able to boost productivity and gain some sense of enrichment. So can you walk us through exactly what that would look like?
Yeah, definitely. So we know that sitting at a desk for 8 hours straight, your productivity is going to go down as that day goes on. You need to take frequent short breaks. It's going to make you more creative. It's going to make you more productive. It's going to make you happier and probably make your back feel better to step up every once in a while. So it's really, scientifically proven that it's more effective to take frequent short breaks rather than sitting and doing something for a very long period of time. But taking intentional breaks is a little bit different than being constantly interrupted. Right. So I think that happens to us too. And people are always looking for ways to keep their dog busy. People will give them some kind of chew or a toy or something in the hopes to get their dog to leave them alone for an hour so they can get work done. And I'm hoping that I can encourage people to kind of rethink this and use those short intentional breaks to do some kind of activity with your dog. And I have a ton of ideas for simple things you can do. And then that way you're kind of you're giving them what they need. You're satisfying that itch that they have to do something, to burn off some energy and bond with you. And then they will hopefully be happy to calmly go rest rather than you trying to get them to leave you alone while you're trying to get work done. So some simple games that you can play, just to give your listeners some real examples. So I encourage you to think about activities that are going to encourage calmness. So a mistake would be to go out and take your dog for a 5-minute speed run around the block, because they're going to come back and they're going to I'll have all these endorphins. They're going to be all pumped up and they're not going to want to calm down. Similarly, like playing a really high energy game of fetch, like that might get your dog wound up instead of getting them to calm down. On the flip side, activities that encourage your dog to sniff things are naturally calming. We know that dogs have a wonderful sense of smell. Their sense of smell is a million times better than our smell. And so they love it and they get so much information from this, but it's also a naturally calming activity and soothing activity for them. And a quick little 5-minute activity you could do is I love to do a scavenger hunt around the house. And so I'll take some little treats or even some of my dog's food and I'll ask them to sit and stay in one spot. And then I'll go around and hide just a couple little things. Maybe there's 10 different hiding spots. And you want to start really simple. Don't hide it in any place too difficult to find. The goal is for your dog to find it all, right? And then you would encourage your dog to go search or go find or go sniff or whatever word you want to use to tell them it's time to go do this activity. And they'll find all the things pretty quickly. So this is like a 5-minute activity, but it's going to give your dog something really fun to do, something that satisfies their just kind of instinctual need to scavenge and search for things. And then actually sniffing physiologically calms them down. So doing little things like that, it's fun. It will get you up away from your desk or whatever you're doing for 5 minutes to go hide the things. And then after your dog finds them, usually your dog will spend even more time still continuing to search around the room. So it will entertain them for a little while.
Wow. So I kid you not, this is exactly what we did with my younger son.
Scavenger hunts?
No, sniffing.
Oh.
Not scavenger sniffing. That might be
I'm like, wow, I had no idea you could do this with kids.
When he was a baby, I'd have him constantly strapped to my chest in the carrier, and I'd be cooking or preparing stuff in the kitchen, and the pantry would be open where we have our spice rack. And so before I use something, I would just let him smell it, and it would instantly calm him down.
Oh, wow.
And so then I realized that would be a form of entertainment. We could just here's 3 things. Let's see what it smells like. And now he loves cooking and baking.
Wow.
Yeah, he just loves it. And he will try to guess what ingredients are in things. And he always tries to put one secret ingredient and then try to have us guess,
That's so cute.
And yeah, and he just loves it. And now he flips it around and he'll go downstairs, go to the pantry, come up to our homeschooling room and ask me to close my eyes and sniff.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I'm just thinking, I bet whatever is working on your dogs, that same pathway must be activated in children.
Yes,
people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, just think about in yoga and everything is so basic. Take a deep breath and breathing through one nostril or the other nostril. And there's just so much that has to do with our breath that you can kind of give your dog these calming activities. So I think, just a mistake people make is doing really high energy activities, thinking that's going to tire my dog out, but it really just kind of gets them more wound up.
Interesting. Yeah. So there is a time and place for the physical stuff that's enriching in its own way, but in a, stimulating way.
You want to set yourself up for success and set your dog up for success. So, if you're going to get something that gets them all wound up, like playing with a really exciting toy or fetching, they're going to have a hard time calming down and you're going to get frustrated. So try to set yourself up for success and do more kind of calming activities with them.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I'm already thinking about how I can revise. We take these brain breaks is what we call them. But usually I have them do, my kids, I have them do jumping jacks and run around the house. And I'm like, oh, I think I've been doing this wrong.
Yeah. Maybe they need a deep breathing, a little yoga break or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes they'll run downstairs and give my husband a hug or something, and they'll come back, and that'll be a totally different feel than the physical stuff I make them do. But I really it's so funny. It's just when you're explaining this with dogs, there's so much clarity. I'm like, it seems so obvious. How did I not know this stuff about
hey,
kids?
we're all mammals, we're all very similar.
Yeah, and I see you have a dog. I mean, this is going to be an audio podcast, but I see you have one of your pets in the background.
Yes, that's my dog Bert. He's my I guess he thinks of himself as my co-founder of my business, but he's always right next to me whenever I'm podcasting.
I love it. He's gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you.
Let's flip this around because we were just talking about things that can be calming and recharge you. But one of the things that we all look for also is just feeling energized, right? And I think you have to have both. Probably the calming stuff lets you recharge, but there's also things that you do that fuel you, that make you excited and energize you. And so you have said that dogs are models for being present, playing, and resting. And so what lessons can we take from that? What specific practices have helped you reset, for example, when things get demanding? And just kind of explain what you mean by all of that.
Sure. So dogs don't have a to-do list. They're not this is all the things I have to get done today. So I for years have always looked at my dogs to see what are they naturally doing? If the dog wants to drink some water, they go down to the water bowl and they drink some water. If they, need to go outside to go to the bathroom, they let you know they need to go outside to go to the bathroom. And when you're walking them, they're sniffing and kind of doing their own thing. So I've always kind of looked at my dogs, when they, I feel like I need to drink more water. So when my dogs would go and drink water, I'd be like, oh, that's a good just signal to me that I should also have some water because I get caught up in my to-do list and all the things I have to do. And my dogs are not thinking about that. They're just following, how their body feels. If they want to take a nap, they take a nap, right? So I think we can look at it in a larger scale and just see how they really balance their day with rest and play and other necessary things like eating and drinking and all of that. But if your dog were to just rest all day and have no playtime and no interaction and activity, they would start to exhibit boredom problem behaviors. So they might be barking a lot, they might chew something up, they might just really annoy you because it's too much rest. Whereas on the other side, you can also have too much play and they can get like overly tired and it can lead to an injury or something like that. So it really is about that balance. And it's great to look at our dogs for this. And I think that we can kind of follow their lead and understand that we need to work and we need to do the essentials like eating and sleeping and drinking. But I think we don't always build in enough time for play. So, we can see with our dogs that like it is so essential to them to play. And when you do make time to do that and you see their eyes light up and you realize, oh, I actually had fun playing with them too, it can, encourage you to keep doing that. So I think that sometimes it's really hard to stick with a routine, but if it's rewarding and feels good every time that you do it, hopefully your body will kind of start to crave these feel good, these, get that oxytocin boost from bonding with your dog and playing with your dog. And I think you'll start to crave this balance. It doesn't have to be an overwhelming thing. You don't necessarily have to take your dog out for an hour. You could play for 5 or 15 minutes and still get a lot of benefit out of that. But you kind of have to do it to see. So I can tell you all I want to tell you, but until you do it and start working it into your routine, it's hard to really understand how beneficial and how good it's going to feel.
It sounds like a lot of times when people don't really like working out, they think they don't want to work out, but then they just force themselves to do it a little bit. And then they realize, oh, I'm kind of addicted to this. I like the endorphin rush. And then it's like something they look forward to a little bit. It sounded to me like you were saying that the thing about dogs is that they just follow the cues. They do what their body's like, oh, I'm thirsty. And then they go drink. They're not like, oh, I need to wait until like this meeting's over in half an hour. And then, right, like they take the signal from their body and then they act accordingly if they can.
They don't have one of those big water jugs where you are like checking off to make sure you get the right amount. They just drink what they want to drink.
Yeah. And then how much they need. But then you were also saying like, routines can help. What do you recommend then if somebody like me who doesn't have a dog, would I be better off kind of just taking cues from my body? It's like, oh, I'm hungry, I should go eat now. Or should I be setting up these routines? Should I be trying to build in this sort of level of consistency? Or should I remember to just listen to my body and when it says to do something, just do it then?
Well, I think, of course, would be wonderful if we could all live intuitively. but the society that we live in is not really designed for that. So I think it's would be great to find some sort of a balance on that. And the reality is with our dogs, your dog is entirely dependent on you. If you don't take your dog out for a walk, they're not going to go for a walk that day. They can't go out by themselves. So usually. So I think it is important to have that routine, but also listen to your body or listen to your kids or your dog or whoever. And just because your routine is every single day at 7 a.m., we're going for a walk. If you wake up and you don't feel good, it might make you feel worse to go for that walk. So I think it is important to kind of pay attention to that. And sometimes dogs, they want to nap have an extra long nap, or they want to go sit in the sun because the sun feels good, or who knows what they do. And sometimes my dog goes and sits in the sun and it's like 90 degrees out. And I'm like, are you insane? Aren't you hot? You're like melting. And
I know he has dark fur too.
His dark fur. And I'll be like, come, you have to sit in the shade. And the second I get him in the shade, he gets up and he goes back in the sun. So, it's just kind of following what feels good for you. Yeah. But sometimes there's things we have to do that you need a routine in order to stick with it.
Yeah. Okay. That was pretty much what I was thinking, but I just was curious. I think we can round out this conversation with the last question. You might know that I help, especially high achieving moms, figure out this balance thing with how to go for these ambitions that they have, as well as being really present in motherhood and other roles that they might have taken on. There's a lot of mixed messaging out there. A lot of people have been saying that work-life balance is a total lie. It's impossible. And I personally think that that is unfortunate because then it makes women in particular feel like they have to choose. They can either get success or have a family, right? They can't really have both. The problem with that is that if you're particularly ambitious, then and if you choose one or the other, you're going to feel a little disconnected. And I feel passionate about, people kind of loving motherhood and loving that role and not giving up who they are. Okay, so with that preface, I'd like to ask all my guests, what does work-life balance mean to you?
Well, I agree with you. It is sometimes hard to have to feel like you have to make a choice between pursuing work success and pursuing success in other areas of your life. But what I focus on in my work now, and especially I have this new podcast called Dog Enrichment with Tori Mistick. Mm-hmm. Each episode is a deep dive into a different category of dog enrichment. So I identified 8 different categories, and the first season is 10 episodes. So we have like an intro and an ending episode. But with these 8 different categories, you're trying to provide a diverse experience to your dog. Variety is very important with enrichment. And I have also found that in my life, I need variety as well. So these 8 different categories, some of them are like cognitive, some are food-based. So different tastes and textures. It could be sound or scent. And so there's social enrichment too. And I think for me to have work-life balance, I also need to kind of touch on all these different categories of enrichment in my own life. So going back to what we talked about at the beginning, having creative hobbies that are totally screen-free is very important for me. Also having some social enrichment. And these things don't always have to be the same amount every day or even every week or every month. I mean, sometimes you have a month where you have very little social enrichment, and then the holidays come up and it's like too much social enrichment.
Oh, right.
So I think work-life balance to me is it could just be balance. I mean, why do we need the qualifier of work life? Like for me, especially as an entrepreneur, my work is my life and my life is my work. So for me, it's just about balance in general. And, I get a lot of social fulfillment through work friends and people that I work with. So for me, it's just so overlapped and intertwined. Obviously, my dogs have introduced me to so many wonderful friends, and I have whole friend groups just through my dogs. And that's fun. And they also provide me great physical enrichment because we've got to go out and walk and hike and climb up hills and things like that. So for me, it's about having that balance in all areas, not necessarily trying to be 50-50 with how much work I'm doing versus how much life I'm living.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that definition. I mean, that's become really clear that you can't take something and divide it and have equal parts of everything, and therefore you have balance. We have this very full life. There's so many different aspects of our life. It does seem a little ridiculous to dwindle it down to these 2 components. So having balance sort of more on a holistic level, that represents you better than just 2 facets of your life.
Yes. Have you ever seen the Wheel of Life exercise? Yeah. So similar to that, touching on all those different areas.
Yeah. I do something really similar with my clients that have to do with like a whole life impact. We actually also have 8 domains, so probably really similar domains. And that's kind of what I go through. Yeah, so I've been looking at your work and I'm really impressed by what you've built, how you've built it. And I love that you talked about that community was such an important part of it as well. I just wanted to thank you for being here, but I also wanted to ask you to talk about, your Dog Enrichment podcast, but go ahead and tell us as much more about it that you want, about your business and all the ways that my listeners can find you, because you are just a treasure trove of information.
Wow. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for having me here. And it's great to be introduced to your audience. And I hope that everyone walked away with some little morsel of something that makes them happy or something that makes them curious. So I do have my podcast, Dog Enrichment with Tori Mistick, which is a limited series. So there's 10 episodes. Once it's all out, you can still share it with people. You can still listen. It'll be like one of those series that you can go back to again and again. And there may be a season 2 next year, TBD. But so my podcast, it also complements, I have a activity pack called the Mental Enrichment Activity Pack for Dogs, which is like a little mini online course that you can do with your dog. And it's 10 really fun cognitive enrichment brain games that you can do with your dog. And it's everything from beginner stuff to more advanced, like teaching your dog to fetch different toys by name. So you can actually say, fetch the frog or fetch the bear and teach your dog vocabulary in that way, which is really fun. So I have that. And then if you are a mompreneur with a pet business, I do have the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast, which I started over 8 years ago. And on there, I have 350 plus episodes, hundreds of interviews with women entrepreneurs in the pet industry. So it's all women on there. And again, some of those are a couple years old, but there's still great conversations and great interviews and lots of just great inspiration there. So lots of Tori that you can listen to. Also, my website is wearwagrepeat.com. So that's WEAR wagrepeat.com. And you can find all kinds of stuff on there.
Awesome. That is so great. Thank you so much. I loved having you on. It was a bit of a departure from what I'm used to talking about, but that's just what I love about it. And everything that you said and talked about is so compelling. So I know you said there's a lot of Tori out there, but I feel like it's all worth it. It's all worth it.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful having you on the show. Yeah. So, okay, ladies, there you have it. Tori Mistick of Dog Enrichment. And I'm going to link everything that she just said in the show notes so anyone can access it and contact you directly.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, if anyone has any dog questions, you know where to find me.
Perfect. I hope today's episode will help you create time and freedom to pursue something you love to do. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and tell other purpose-driven mamas about it. Who knows? You might even make a new friend by sharing a tip. It's all free. By the way, it would be amazing to hear what you think about the show when you leave a review on Apple Podcasts. After all, my passion is to make this a great experience for you. I'll see you next week for another episode of Achieve Your Ambitious Mom Life with Anoki Kapasi.